This is my 2012 sketchbook, and it's mostly from my New York trip. I took one sketchbook. I came from Ottawa, Canada, and I spent 2 months from June through July. Then I came back later that year. But so I spent 2 full months, and I was living in the Bronx on the D line. I want to say 181st in the Bronx, near Fordham University. Had rented this little place there, and a lot of the material in here is of that. Now, these drawings are not mine. They're by Robert Bateman. This is the Robert Bateman sketchbook. I've used this sketchbook since high school. I don't know if they even still print these, but you can occasionally find them online on eBay and other places. So I ordered one recently. I always loved the paper. It was like the best quality. And so most of these drawings are his, except for the hand, these little scribbles, and that's about it. There is one thing that I kept in here that I should say, which is this portrait that I could see here. So when I moved to the States, I took very little with me. I took some like pages really in a portfolio case, and I didn't take any paintings whatsoever. I stored them with a couple of friends in Canada. And this is my college self-portrait that I got an A+ on. I think it might say on the back if I got an A+. Anyway, this is my college self-portrait. So, yeah, I did this like last minute. I spent all night on it, and then I finished it by the morning, I remember. And I did pretty well on it. I thought it was solid. The only thing that I don't like about it is the outline. I think the outline is too strong. But I'm happy with the shading, and the proportions are very good. So, my college self-portrait. One of the few, and well, I mean, not few, but I have many sources of pride. And I really like that one, and I did well in that class because I intended to. And I fought for that grade. All right, so there was some pieces that I kind of experimented with there, so I ripped up some things. This is a watercolor painting for a commission that I had online during that same period. This is a photocopy of somebody I had commissioned to illustrate the Big Boss graphic novel. So I'm not sure if this is a page from the graphic novel or not, but it's by somebody else. Hence, like the missile-like boobs. This is from the Bronx Zoo. It's one of the sculptures. I guess I did it on tracing paper. I must have had these materials with me, and then I just used whatever I had. So, yep. These are shading techniques, but this looks a little bit more recent, like maybe I did these when I was in Vegas, and I just inserted them. This is definitely from Vegas. It's from one of my online tutorials. During my period in the Bronx in 2012, I got a commission to do these online drawing tutorials that are realistic portraits. And to get that realism, I had to use a tortillon. Let's see if I have one here. Tortillon. Yeah, so I had to use a tortillon to blend everything. So it was an interesting experiment because I usually do the hatching only, and then the blending is a little bit more elaborate. So I rarely employ that. I feel like the hatching is just good enough in most cases. This is, I think this could be leading into 2013, so some inserts from some commissions. This is a turnaround of a superhero for a company in Camden, New Jersey. They're called Amerinox. I like this character. He's always fun to draw. This is, oh geez, this is from Vegas. I was doing a portrait drawing workshop. This is some, yeah, so just this is again, some of these inserts cross timelines. So I apologize for that if you're looking for just the 2012 sketchbook, but it's coming up. Yeah, this is, I think, from that workshop. So all these following sketches are examples that were in that workshop. This is a tracing exercise for an online tutorial, how you can trace with a grid, and then you can enlarge the grid and enlarge the picture. So that's like for murals as well. And then this is a transferring technique that is, again, in one of my drawing tutorials. All right, so this was some online commission for some cartoon character. And back 2012, I used to draw a lot of things in my sketchbook or on loose paper still, and then I would either photograph it, do a scanning contrast to it to get it like, strong blacks and whites, and then I would Photoshop the coloring. So I wasn't drawing digitally back then. And this is, the exercises, my warm-ups for the tutorials I was doing for that commission. So this is pretty fun. I don't know if I may do a course on my own someday about this. It's nothing that I particularly enjoy. I feel these are kind of boring, but necessary. Okay, this is something, oh, okay, so, and then there's another fun commission that you're gonna see here, illustrative stuff, where it's this spotted frog. He was a graphic designer, and he was, I think, from Philadelphia, yeah. And he had this, it was like spotted frog design. That was his brand. And he had some of his own illustrations, I believe. And now he wanted to do a mail out with like a storyline where this frog becomes a super frog, and then it crashes through this package and stuff. So I did all the illustrations, and this is like some of my best work. To this day, I still love it. The colored work turned out really well. So this is part of that tutorial again. So it's like going back and forth between these two kind of somewhat big commissions. They paid decently. And this is me doing high quality rendering and blending for realism. These are plans for some other ones. I think this is part of one of my classes in person. Maybe this was later, like in Vegas or something, and I just cracked open the book and just threw some colors on there. Yeah, this sketchbook is really more diverse, I think, and because it takes more medium, this paper, so I could really do a lot more with it. This is a list when I used to do caricatures at events. So I would be booked, and then sometimes I would have a long line, so I would write their names down and then cross them out as I got to them. This is some proposal for a city commission. I was proposing some sort of sculpture. Same idea. This is a fun little cartoon for a corporate management trainer. Paul Gerhard, I believe his name was. And he would have me do these 4-panel cartoons of scenarios with him, like helping corporate people. Oh boy, this is a good one. This is preliminaries for a movie poster that I painted. And I painted it while I was in the Bronx. And it turned out really great. It's still one of my best paintings. All right, and now, this is probably the highlight of this sketchbook, in my opinion. I went to the Bronx Zoo, and I sketched, and that was it's still the only time that I went to the Bronx Zoo where I sketched. I think I went there briefly after, but yeah, I mean, I spent the whole day there. It was a super hot day, and I just like sketched animals like the way I did in college when we went on a school trip to the Toronto Zoo, this time at the Bronx Zoo. And as you can see here, I used marker, but I added the watercolor later when I got home. I thought it would just liven the pictures up. I don't even know for what purpose I was doing it, because it wasn't like I was using it in a portfolio or anywhere. It was just for my own pleasure. I was so happy to be able to draw these amazing animals. I like this, the wood. The gorillas are always fun. They moved in that one. I had done a gorilla painting. I think it was based on this pose here. And I left it with the people I was renting from. This I like. This turned out real nice, this expression here, this face. And then these two, this is maybe like the best page out of the sketchbook. The peacock and the lion sleeping. The colors, I really like the way I did the colors. I'm happy with the results. This polar bear, I mean, I swear, I drew him for like 20 minutes, and he was just like tuckered out, sleeping on a rock. Wild. This was some sort of greeting card or some animation, I think. So it's interesting to go from like super cartoony to realistic. And I think like to be a good cartoonist, you really have to study real life. Right, so that polar bear was sleeping, that I went to from a different angle, and he was still in the same position. This is from that same little angel commission. This is supposed to be some replacement panel, I think, in my Big Boss comic. There's that character again. It's I don't quite remember why he's like here and then also at the beginning, but it's the same commission. This, I believe, was a test. I was testing this new pen. It was like a brush marker pen, And I think I just made up this scene with the girl. And I was just testing the way it worked. But the unfortunate thing was that I had this really kind of cool drawing on the other side, and then I only realized after I added the marker that it bled through. So that's something you learn. As my dad would say, you live and learn. Okay, cheetah. That's like made up fantasy stuff. This is kind of a cool fantasy drawing. I mean, I like the upper body there a lot. The rest is like, okay. All right. This frog busting through this package. This part was superimposed over this. It was supposed to mirror the Hulk #1 cover, the Incredible Hulk comic book. So yeah, he's in Philly because there's like the Liberty Bell. I to this day, I think this is one of my best illustrations. I love it. And I actually used it recently. I touched it up and I reused it in my upcoming book on cartooning. It's a great sequence. It paid pretty decently, but I just really got into it. Like when you sometimes get a good project like this that like challenges you to do work that's like, you know, helps you evolve. That's exciting. Like look how cool this is. I never went this far with like the muscles and veins and stuff and shading, and it was just so amazing and fun. And it showed me that I feel like it's very mainstream. And I could, you know, I guess if I had the opportunity, I could totally have done, you know, mainstream comics at that time. And certainly I do indie comics for some clients and for myself that, you know, in their best instances are mainstream. But I have like, I think more classical training too. So there's really great stuff. I mean, I'm just so happy about like, even the folds, they're almost like kind of fake, but they work. And I like those. There's like cartoony elements that I've brought in. So I'm so happy with this. No. It's funny expressions. Yeah, this is really, really fun. All right, so we're wrapping up. I think this is it. Okay, one last thing. So this is a comic strip that I did for a hairdresser. Her nickname was Curly McKenzie, 007 hairdressing or something like that. And this is fun. This is her, but she has like a wig here, because usually her hair is not like that. So her character is kind of like Shaft-like character that does on-call hairdressing. So she just shows up and helps people. So this comic book was posted on her website to advertise her service. And then she ordered another one, and I did a couple of other projects with her, and we still have a good relationship. I just haven't done anything for her recently. So that's it. That's the sketchbook. And with the portrait from way back in college. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and let me know what you think. Which was your favorite thing out of here? The gorillas, the zoo, the spotted frog cartoon. I feel like it's, for me, in retrospect, it's like between the zoo and the spotted frog illustrations, because those are really, really my favorites. The shading are kind of interesting. So there's kind of, it's amazing how many different things I did, especially in this particular sketchbook. So I don't know if you guys experiment similarly. Let me know in the comments. All right, thanks.